You're a frog in a pot. What will you do when the water gets hot? Will you jump out or will you get cooked? Listen to the show and you will be hooked.
Welcome to Boil the Frog Slowly, a radio program that answers the question, are politics hazardous to your health? We go where mainstream media stops. Co-hosted by Sebastian Sanzota, a marathon runner, a vegetarian, a former healthcare professional with 5 years of military experience in the U.S. Navy, including 2 tours in the Persian Gulf, primarily working with advanced airborne early warning radar aircraft. Sebastian is experiencing firsthand the ill effects of EMFs. He is passionate to share his medical background, experience, and research in an effort to educate and save others from boiling in this hot health war soup. And co-hosted by me, Pat Rouleau, author of Speak Up and Stay Alive, the Patient Advocate Hospital Survival Guide, and host-producer of the nationally syndicated radio show, Speak Up and Stay Alive Patient Safety Radio, heard on 220 radio and cable television stations throughout the country. The books and archive shows are available at speakupandstayalive.com. I too have been slowly and unknowingly boiled by hidden EMF hazards and have jumped out of the pot to tell all. You can listen to all previous and current Boil the Frog programs at boilthefrogradio.com, at iHeartRadio, and on our very own internet radio station, speakuptalkradio.com. I encourage you to share this program with as many people as you possibly can, week after week, as we gig out some of the leading issues we face today to help you understand, function, and ultimately survive in today's toxic environment proliferated by big money. Thank you for joining us as we jump out of the pot. A few weeks ago, we talked about geopathic stress, those harmful energies emitted from the earth that interfere with the healthy functioning of cell metabolism in our body. Energies that can be harmful if we spend long periods of time above those areas. And we had a guest expert, Werner Brandmaier, right here to help us with that. Well, I think this is such an important topic that I invited him back again because we simply didn't have enough time to share everything with you about how your home and environment just might be affecting your health and how body dowsing can be of help. So we're going to get into that today, and it's with great pleasure to reintroduce Werner Brandmaier, a native of Austria who has an engineering background and more than 10 years of experience in the high-tech medical field. He founded the Institute of Feng Shui and Geopathology in Portland, Maine, with the intent to raise awareness about geopathic stress in the United States. In his full-time practice, Werner integrates traditional schools of Feng Shui and Western forms of dowsing and geopathology. He teaches seminars and workshops all over the country and is a member of the American Society of Dowsers. And today he has so much more to tell us, so welcome to the show, Werner.
Yeah, hi, Pat. I'm happy to be here again.
Oh, I'm very happy to have you here. These topics excite me very, very much, and I want to remind our listeners that you are going to come back for a third time to talk about Feng Shui, and I am very interested in that. I've got all kinds of books on it and try to practice it, so I'm going to pick your brain on behalf of our listeners, but we'll get to that on another segment. Today, I'd like to frame our conversation around health from an energetic perspective. And so from you, I'd like to start by asking the question, how do you define good health?
That's a...
There's a big question.
Big question, right? The question. Look at things now in general, I look at them from an energetic perspective, from a vibrational perspective. And so good health is, when we got enough sleep and allow the body or provide the body with all forces to heal itself, because the body always tries to heal itself. And only if it runs out of material, of elements, of supplements, of minerals, then the body has to start to apply some tricks and use something else instead, and then the whole building becomes weaker and weaker with time. Good health is vibrational balance and providing the body with everything it needs to do the job.
And you talk about a health bank account. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's an example to make this a bit more logical. I'm not a person necessarily who tells you never to eat a steak and a nice ice cream or have a good cappuccino. We just need to make sure that the system doesn't get out of balance. So I see health as a bank account, if you want to see so. We are born with a specific amount of money. You know, we come to this world with a briefcase full of money, and some people have a huge briefcase, and some people have much less to come with. In homeopathy, we would call this the constitution. You know, some people have a strong constitution, like my dad had. You know, he was chain smoking his entire life. You know, he made it till 85. So now people come up and say, oh, smoking can't be that bad. But I would say he had a very strong heart and a very good constitution. And those people, you know, can spend quite some more money during a lifetime as others can do. Some people are so sensitive they hold their head out the window and they catch a flu. And people usually know that, you know, and sometimes this changes also with the change of lifestyle. And you remember, for example, that as a kid, personally myself, I was a very sensitive kid, and I was easily sick, you know, when I was overwhelmed at school, you know, in some of again, on an energetic level. And now I haven't been sick for ages. I don't even remember. And, you know, I have quite a number of years on my back now. So when you do anything good, it's a deposit in your bank account. So if you eat decent food, if you do yoga and meditation, if you go on a vacation, if you hydrate well, if you exercise moderately, you know, these are all deposits into your bank account. And so if there is enough money in your account, you can do some junk food or some stressful adventures. And a coffee, by the way, I love cappuccinos. You know, I'm European and close to Italy. We often drove down there. But a cappuccino is, unfortunately, a little bit of a withdrawal from your account. And if you have a big steak and you know, some more alcohol maybe, these are all withdrawals from your account, and as long as you keep them moderate, everything is fine. What just happens usually is that when we get older, you know, the bank account empties out more and more because we are not that aware of the whole situation, and suddenly we turn 40 and have allergies which we never had in our entire life because the bank account gets empty. And then it gets even worse, and we try to compensate and live on credit cards for a while, and this works as well for a bit, but at some point the bottom is reached and there is no more credit. And this is when something serious appears in our health history, and then we get a diagnosis like, I don't know, chronic fatigue syndrome or all these weird, strange illnesses and syndromes where nobody knows where they come from, and it's a chronic situation. And geopathic stress, as we mentioned last time, is a constant withdrawal in this account. It's a constant crack in the bowl which holds your energy and holds your money. So we need to look at that and identify those cracks and close them as one of the first steps in order to properly, you know, address them and fix the situation, and not at the end just fill money in on top of the bowl, and we can't even fill it in fast enough as it runs out on the other side. So.
Excellent. I just think it's a great concept and a great analogy that folks can think about each day. Now, last time we talked about body dowsing. We were trying to figure out, how do we know if we're in an area that has geopathic stress, or how do we know that we're doing the right decision or making the right purchase. And you talked about how there's a simple way we can do that called body dowsing. And we didn't have enough time to go into that. So maybe briefly explain what it is. And then if we can, let's go through a little exercise.
Yeah, body dowsing is a way to use your body as an instrument to show you if something is good for you or not. You know, the body on the intuitive side knows exactly what is beneficial and what is not. Just the brain is always in the way and tries to make everything logical and rational. And so dowsers just tap into these intuitive possibilities and use an instrument. You know, maybe most of your listeners have seen a pendulum or L-rods or tensors. The Germans call them tensors. So they use an instrument to show these differences, but to make it more simple, we just use our body. And I'm happy to go through the exercise. I sometimes do this over the phone or over a radio even, so we can do that. So what I want you to do is stand up straight. You know, if you want to do this with us now, stand up straight, put your feet together, and close your eyes. And what you'll notice is that your body is not completely still. It moves around a bit, you know, because it is, when we keep the feet together, it is a bit of an unstable position. We close our eyes, or keep our eyes closed, and then what we use a resonance principle. So if something is positive or in resonance, then the body moves towards it, and if something is in dissonance, the body repels and moves backwards. And so what we use here as the first exercise is, in our mind, we just talk to ourselves and tell our body, show me a yes. Show me a yes. And the standard, and I want to explain this for a moment, the standard would be a yes is a positive, the movement forward, so the body would slightly move forward. For some people it moves sideways, and sometimes it even moves backwards. So, but just try to find out, if you repeatedly do this, if you get the same answer. And then you also do the same with a no answer. Body, show me a no. And it should do the opposite, or at least something different. Body, show me a no. But as long as we get the same type of signal each time, we can use that now for a yes and no answer. When the opposite happens, that's a state what we call somebody is switched. And switched means the yes is backwards and the no is forward. This happens if somebody is stressed out specifically. The body is so stressed that it doesn't respond properly as it usually does. Did it work for you at all? Or what is your...
Yes, I've been practicing this since I found your website, and
okay.
Yes, definitely. And so it doesn't take much to, I think, be intuitive about it. Just be still, and you can realize that your body does move forward and does move back. I had a question though. If we already have a preconceived idea perhaps of what we want the answer to be, are we somehow controlling that motion backward and forward?
That's always part of dowsing, that you can detach yourself from your question as much as possible. And so this is why it's more or easier to dowse for somebody else's questions. You know, if you have a friend, you just tell the friend to ask a question, and they don't even have to do this loud. They just do this in their mind, and you dowse for the answer. And because you are not biased, really, because you're not involved in the outcome, it's easier to stay neutral. But this is a part of a good dowser, is to stay neutral to the answer, because of course you can influence the outcome otherwise.
Right. But what you're saying is, then I could think of that question in my mind and don't even have to say it out loud, and work with someone else who I've explained this to, or maybe they can watch the video on your site, and they would get that answer for me. So I could actually watch their body move forward or backward and get that answer for myself.
Right. And it's another very important part is always to be really precise with the question.
Okay.
You know, if the question is too open, do I like my bed here, or it really needs to be, is this a healthy space for my bed to be in?
Right.
And even sometimes, it might even differ slightly from person to person, because there are other aspects, the compass direction aspect. Everybody has a perfect direction, or the most beneficial direction to sleep in. Mm-hmm. And this might be different to another person. So, even there is no geopathic stress there, and it's okay, but it might be better for one or the other person. So the more precise the question, the better the answer. I also want to mention that the less you think, of course, the better it works. And this is why, if you do this as a game or as a little practice with smaller children, they love that. It's perfect, because they are not that involved in thinking as we are as grown-ups. So the second part is, again, we stand feet closed next to each other, close our eyes, and we ask a question at this point where we know the answer, but it's an open answer, and we ask our own first name. Use the first name. We found that it's better than the second name when especially a woman gets married and uses another different name, and it's getting a bit complicated. But your first name should really work. So I would just say, is my name Werner? And then see how the body responds to that, and just, relax and see where this goes. And then as a different one, just ask another name, is my name John? And you should get a no response to that. We still can use it and can figure out many things now, especially, for example, which foods are good for us. When we go shopping, we sometimes pay more for organic food. We don't even know if it's better, this type of food, or because it's just labeled organic. But in general it is. Organic food is usually always better than normal food, or we can check our supplements. We even can check how much we should take of our supplements on a daily basis, because the recommendations are very general usually, and it can be that you just only need half of that or whatever. So you can do all this testing, and maybe the way for people who want to read more or see the video on the website is I made a short link to the website, and it's just called bodydowsing.com. Body dowsing, dowsing spells DOWSING, dowsing.com. And they find a written description and a short video where they can see that again. Once you practice this for a bit, it's very quick and amazing results. And sometimes you get very unexpected answers, and that's always the fun ones, because they go opposite what you had thought. Yep. And this happens sometimes. It's rare, but sometimes it happens with a name as well. I just want to warn some of your listeners maybe. And we noticed that sometimes your body doesn't like your name, and then when we check into that, we find out that maybe your parents called you a different name when you were little, and then you just took or the other way around, and your body doesn't really identify with the name and prefers another one. So you can find out about that as well.
Wow, that's excellent. Bodydowsing.com. And I want to talk about something else, and that's the pH balance of our blood, and how does that keep the body healthy? People hear about the body being too acidic or too alkaline, and I know I've even purchased the little pH strips, and in the morning you can spit on them to see what your morning saliva looks like, or you could actually even urinate on it to see what kind of pH your urine has. So let's talk a little about pH and why it's important.
I might have mentioned in the last segment, my wife had very surprisingly cancer out of nowhere, and we dived really into that material in addition to the environmental geopathic energies, and we found a gentleman, Robert Young, and he explained that the blood of the pH is slightly on the alkaline side. If you look at a pH scale, it goes from 1 to 14, and 7 is the middle. 7 is neutral, and the higher numbers are alkaline, and the low numbers are acidic. But what we are not so much aware of is that if the testing is 1 or 2 numbers away, it's not just 1 or 2 numbers, because each number on a logarithmic scale, and this is what this is a factor of 10. So if 7 is neutral, like 6 is 10 times more acidic than 7. And 5 is 10 times 10 times, it's 100 times more acidic than the neutral stage. And if we know that, for example, a Coke is 2.8, so this is 10,000 times more acidic than neutral, and other sodas. It's amazing how people survive, if they just drink Coke all day long, or Pepsi, or other of those soft drinks, because they are so acidic. And if we look at our food in general, a lot of the junk food is on the very acidic side, and even coffee, unfortunately, is around 4. So still 1,000 times too acidic. So this is why in Europe, when you sit down in a nice cafe in Austria, you get a big glass of water with your coffee, in order to dilute a little bit the acidity. And if we understand that a big part, except of greens, which are always on the alkaline side, but is on the acidic part, and we understand that the blood, the ideal blood, is 7.365. That's how accurate Dr. Young measured that. But it's a little bit beyond 7 on the alkaline side. So, and now it's just a logical thinking about here is if most of the stuff we put into our body on the food side, on the physical food side, but then we also add on the emotional side, and usually we have a lot of stress in our life. Stress makes us acidic. In German we say somebody is sour, which means he's fed up, he's angry, right? He's sour, he's acidic. So if the emotional part is acidic as well, and then we go back at night and sleep on geopathic stress, which is an environmental form of stress, a very subtle but long, ongoing form of stress, makes us acidic again. So our house is acidic, our relationships are acidic, our food is acidic, everything is acidic what we put into our body or expose ourselves to, and then we carry around our cell phones on top of that. So how can the body keep the system, the blood, alkaline? Because if your blood pH goes down 0.2 of a point on 7.1 or 7.2, you are in the emergency room. They try to save your life. This is how bad this is. So the body needs to compensate this in any way possible. And the way it does that is it takes minerals to compensate, because minerals are 14, like calcium, magnesium, iodine. These are very, very alkaline minerals. So the body uses those when it looks for it in your food first. If you have decent nutrition, then the body just takes this out of your diet and uses them, puts them together with the more acidic parts, and they neutralize each other. But the problem comes when your diet is not very decent and does not have a lot of those elements in there, and the body still needs to do something to compensate, because otherwise you're dead. So the body just takes now calcium wherever it can get it, and it gets it out of your bones. And it takes magnesium wherever it can get it, and it takes it off your muscles, and then people complain about restless leg syndrome. And so this is, again, why it is so important to have organic food, because organic food, carries so much more of those ingredients with it than depleted junk food. But again, the whole idea of the pH balance is to provide the body with the necessary pieces and particles and minerals to do a job and the body does the job by itself.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you talk about a health bank account and all of the withdrawals that are being made, not only with our diet, we're becoming acidic, and as you mentioned, our environment, where we sleep, if we have geopathic stress within our homes and our environment, and then you even mentioned cell phones and the EMFs. Even if we don't have a cell phone, just how we're being bombarded by cell towers, and you can't go into any place, even to a grocery store, without being blasted by their Wi-Fi router. So just a venture outside your home, assuming your home is safe, you're going to be hit with these withdrawals from your health bank account. That was very well put, very simple to understand, and I hope our listeners pay attention to the significance that our diet, geopathic stress, and EMF has in this very delicate pH balance. Do those little strips that I was talking about where you can test your urine and your saliva, is that of any value?
Yes, it is. But what you see with those strips is you see where you are on a bigger picture. And the trick is a little bit, you need to average this out over the day. For example, what I would do is if you buy a strip like that, every time you pee during the day, you measure and you write it down, and then spit on it every few hours during the day, and not too close when you just eat food, because again, if you have a salad and there is some vinegar in there or whatever, it changes very quickly. So away from food, just test your saliva and your urine, and add those numbers up and take an average number.
Okay.
For example, the first urine in the morning is always acidic.
Right.
Okay, so just don't even count that, but look at the second time, or and then you get an idea. And if you're always in the 4 to 5 range, that is really a sign that the body on the overall stage is not coming out of an acidic state. Which is, I want to mention another aspect in the food part. This is really the energy in food. That's the valuable aspect when we see that food you grow in your own garden, or at least is organic, has a much higher energy level than the other food. And some people measured this on a megahertz scale, but it's a very subtle energetic way to measure that. And what they found was that healthy organs need about 70 megahertz, just to give you an idea, 70 megahertz of energy, of high energy to stay healthy, right? If we look at cancer cells, for example, cancer cells have about 40 megahertz. Or below that. And if we look at organic food has maybe 100, 150 megahertz, so provides a really good amount of energy. But if we look at normal food, a hamburger, for example, has about 5 megahertz. Oh. Okay, so what we find is that the so-called SAD, the Standard American Diet, and the abbreviation says it all.
It says it all, yeah. It's pretty sad, isn't it?
The Standard American Diet is somewhere between 5 and 50 megahertz.
Oh.
Okay, so it doesn't even reach the 70, what healthy organs would really require to stay there. So, this is when we did a lot of live blood microscopy with our own devices also, and you can see those on some of our websites, where we, for example, have a person drink a sip of coffee and take a picture of the blood, just take a drop of blood out of your finger, put it in the microscope, and see how the blood cells either stick together or how nicely round-shaped or not round-shaped they are. And when we have a person with a really nice-looking blood and he takes a sip of coffee, the blood is messed up and starts to stick together and do these so-called rouleau formations. And we did all kind of tests with that, especially tests with microwaved water as well. And,
yes.
I think we talked last time a little bit about that, where you see when you carry your cell phone and your water bottle next to each other, your water is microwaved and it's totally messed up. Or I just want to mention this. I don't know if we said last time, but I heard about this again. When girls go out at night and they barely have any bag to keep their phone in, they stuck it under their bra.
Yep.
And that is a really bad place to put it, because the tissue is very sensitive, and then we have this crazy increase in anxiety about breast cancer these days, and that definitely doesn't help.
No, I've seen some of those dark field microscopy slides where they showed the normal blood, how it freely floats, and then 2 minutes with a cell phone, and you've got that, as you said, that rouleau effect where it's all clumped. Very, very interesting to see that. Once you see those slides, and as you were saying with the sip of coffee, to see the difference in the blood, hopefully that would stop anybody from putting a cell phone anywhere near themselves.
Yeah, but I just want to mention here that there is hope for coffee lovers, because as I said, I like a cappuccino myself. For example, if you look at our bioresonance laser, we laser the coffee and the blood is really nice afterwards, even drinking the coffee. We even lasered Coca-Cola and junk food and ate some more of it, and the blood stabilized. It's not as perfect as eating some really good food, but it really counteracted the very bad effect of these junk food things. So that's where the energetic tools come in, because everything is based on vibration and everything is based on frequency. And so if you just have something, if you have a cell phone or a geopathic situation, the frequency patterns are just messed up and chaos energy is increased. And so what we can do with some of our devices, we either stabilize space, or we can reverse the effect of the damage which is done in the food, and that's kind of the idea behind our tools.
Okay, so last time we spoke, we talked about the home harmonizer and the pendant that one can wear. Now you're talking about a laser that obviously has a frequency through it. So let's say that we microwaved our dinner, and then with this laser, you beam that on the food, and so that alters the frequency. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what the laser does is it uses a blue laser light as a carrier wave, and carries, several hundred, and there are different versions, to several thousand frequencies on the laser light, and it needs to be a coherent light source, which laser is, because that's what scientists found out is the type of light cells communicate with each other, is a coherent light. And so what we can do is we can put those frequencies into your food, and especially into liquids, and especially into water, because water is kind of the best liquid to use for that. But we can turn around other liquids like coffee or even sodas and reverse the effect which these chaotic frequencies have on our body cells and the communication of the cells, because that's another very interesting point when you look at it. To some degree, food is not just processed through the digestive tract. When you put an organic, vegetable in your mouth, the moment you put it in your mouth, the frequencies and the energy is already taken into your system and into your body, before it's in any way even chewed down or digested at all. So there is an energetic impact, which to some degree is pretty significant. I would sometimes think it's higher than or at least in a similar density than the physical aspect is the energetic aspect. And this is what we can change and what we can manipulate here to the better. And also on the cell phones, we forgot to mention one thing, which is the most simple and obvious one. It's something you put in your cell phones, which we call it an electrosmog harmonizer. Smog in terms of pollution, electrosmog harmonizer. You put it on your cell phone or you put it on your wireless router or on your computer, and it counteracts a big part of the damage which is done otherwise to your body.
Now, would we actually see that if we had a measuring device? Say I have an acoustometer that measures the microwave frequencies given off by these such devices. And so if I put a harmonizer on that cell phone and turn the cell phone on, would that show up as, say, a less of a reading on my meter?
Only a bit, because what you measure is the electrical field, the electromagnetic field itself.
Okay.
What we change here is the consistency of the field. So from being chaotic to being positive, okay. The content of it. It's like if you listen to music and you have like heavy metal music and classical Mozart music. But what the instrument measures is just the loudness of the music itself.
Okay.
So it can't really differ between the quality inside the music itself.
Got it. And so what we're saying today is that everything is energy and that we either have a positive resonance with it or a dissonance. And we're talking about imbalance and stress in all forms. Geopathic, what we eat, the EMFs are the common denominators to make us sick. And so what we're trying to talk about today is prevention is the goal and is the answer. So I know that there's just, again, so much more we could touch upon, but I want you to lead us to all of the resources for your harmonizers and your devices that will help for the body dowsing. So maybe share with that. And I know that you also do a 45-minute consultation and have some ebooks. So share all of that with us as well.
I give you a number of websites you can go to. The first one maybe is called harmonizeyourspace.com. And this is to stay connected. If you want to sign in there, you get a free ebook about dowsing. And if you send me an email from that, I will also send you personally my e-workbook for free, which is otherwise it's $15 on the website. I want you to go to www.harmonizeyourspace.com. And as information sites, geopathology.com for more information on geopathic stress and EMFs. If you want to look up the body dowsing exercise, go to www.bodydowsing.com. And for anybody who wants to try this out, I put a limited time offer, a consultation over the phone or over Skype if you like to. And I wrote this out in detail. You find this in our store. The store is called geopathicstresssolutions.com. I need some information from you and some floor plans to douse, so-called map dowsing, douse over distance, and we can figure out pretty well, how your sleeping situation is. Yeah, and you always can call me. My phone numbers and emails are on all my sites. You can contact me with any questions. I love to talk about that and spread the information as much as possible.
And you do a great job. It's such a pleasure. I could have you on every week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this excellent information. And folks, stay tuned because Werner's coming back. We're going to talk about feng shui, and so we have that to look forward to. Again, thank you so much for your time and for this unbelievably important information.
Thank you, Pat. The pleasure was on my side. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us on Boil the Frog Slowly Radio. Please come back next week. And for more information, go to the website, boilthefrogradio.com. And until next week, remember to practice safe phone.
Boil the frog slowly. You're a frog in a pot. Turn out the heat and things will get hot. Will you jump out or will you burn? Listen to the show and you will return to boil the frog.